Hey, you guys, welcome. We hope that you are having a day. I am joined. My name is Claudia Sheridan. I am here joined with the beautiful and stunning Veronica Jeans, e-commerce expert. So I'm going to go ahead and put our names up here real quick just so you kind of know who we are. And today we're going to be talking about what it means to be authentically you in your business, in your marketing, and everything. So I know that I've got some stories to share about it. I'm hoping that Veronica can share a couple of stories and that we can maybe give you some best practices just based on our experience. We haven't done any research into this. We just want to talk about it because it doesn't matter who you follow. All the gurus will tell you, be you, be yourself. And it's so confusing because, of course, you're yourself. So, I mean, who else are you going to be? But with that said, I was watching a show yesterday. For those of you that like RuPaul, somebody told me, you've got to watch the RuPaul show. So I went and watched RuPaul. And it was interesting because in one of the skits that they did, one of the women got knocked down for overacting her part, and they were wanting her to be authentically herself. So I thought, oh my gosh, talk about a tie-in, because we're going to be talking about that today. So I'm going to let Veronica introduce herself, and then we'll just get started with it. So it's all yours, Veronica.
Thank you. I'm so glad to be here. Again, I'm Veronica Jeans, and I'm an e-commerce business coach. And mainly on Shopify now, because I don't like anything else. I like to stick to one thing and be an expert on one thing. So and I'm very excited about talking about this because I'm always telling my customers to be themselves and personally brand themselves, because there's so much noise out there that the only way we can really stand out is by being personal in our businesses.
Absolutely. So when we talk about authentically you, I know that when I first started, I really struggled. I mean, this was 5 years ago. I really struggled with, oh my God, who am I? Right? Coming up with a name for my business. And a lot of entrepreneurs go through that. We come with this name for the business and we hem and we haw because we have to have the perfect name. And then a year into it, we're like, oh crap, I should have picked a different name. You know, I know that I went through that. I mean, my business is called Small Business Breakthrough, and I had specific reasons on why I chose it. And then, 2 years into it, I was like, oh, I don't know if I like my name. And then about a year and a half ago, I fell in love with my name again. And it was interesting because it was at a time where I was launching Claudia Sheridan as a brand, as an author, as a speaker. And then I have Small Business Breakthrough, which is my consulting service. And, who are we on both ends? And so Small Business Breakthroughs is much more professional, cookie cutter type of thing, right? Entity. And then you've got myself who, love me and hate me with all my flaws. And it's who I am. And Veronica, when you started out, I mean, did you struggle with trying to figure out who you were?
Oh, absolutely. And throughout my life, I've sort of been always very enthusiastically jumping in when somebody says, oh, this is a great idea. Let's go and do it. And I'll go, yeah, let's go do it. And then suddenly, when with my last business went away, and I decided, well, now what am I going to do? Because now I had to actually decide what I wanted to do and what I'm passionate about. And then, as you said, the name. And so, what is your purpose and what do I want to do, right? So, because really, building a business takes you at least 5 years. I don't care what anybody says, at least 5 years. And then, after 5 years, maybe get a little bit success and you think, well, I'll stick to this now, right? So when you're making a decision, you sort of think, okay, this is, I'm not going to make another change again. But choosing the name is extremely, extremely hard. But one thing I do know is never get married to a name.
Yes.
You can always change it, right? Because it is another launch, right? You can go and say, hey guys, I'm launching again. And people go, wow, we didn't even know that you had the first name, right?
It's so true. It's so true. And at what point in time did you decide you were going to be Veronica Jeans? Like, at what point in time did you think, you know what? I'm confident in my business with who I am, that I am going to embrace my identity and promote myself in that manner?
Well, probably 2 years ago, I decided to go with my name because I decided I want to be famous, and eventually.
There you go.
Right, right. So everybody else is doing it, and I thought, you know what? They started somewhere, and I'm going to go with Veronica Jeans because that's how people know me, and maybe it'll work. So that's why I decided to get my domain name, Veronica Jeans.
Very cool, very cool. And I know, like with my domain name, it was interesting because, again, coming out with Small Business Breakthrough and figuring out who Small Business Breakthrough is and what is that voice and what are they going to project. It was so much easier when I decided, you know what, Claudia Sheridan is Small Business Breakthrough, and I know exactly who Claudia Sheridan is. I mean, I've had just a few years of practice of, being myself, and I must have bought my domain, my name, 20 years ago, 22 years ago, quite a while ago. I know, it's so crazy because I only look like I'm 25. But it was one of those things where I decided I'm going to be me. But it really wasn't until, honestly, end of last year. The end of the last year, I decided that I didn't want to fit into this mold of what people thought Claudia Sheridan should be, and really just embrace who I am and start showing that to, that person, to my online audience. My customers, of course, they knew who I was. I mean, they know that I'm pretty quick-witted. They know that I roll my eyes a lot. It's just kind of what I do. They know that I, may not always listen to authority. Just kind of whoops. I think that we all have that within us when it comes to entrepreneurial spirit, right? I mean, there's a reason we do what we love. But then it's like, be authentically you. And what I found was crazy because I've never been a person that had to have everybody love me. I was always just myself, love me or not love me. I was okay with it, but with business, it's like, you need everyone to love you. Yes. And so when I truly just embraced who I was as a person and started to share that with people, I learned that may not be everybody's cup of tea, and how do you, did you ever encounter that? If you've ever encountered that, how do you overcome that?
I eventually decided when I started out, I was always so enthusiastic about business. And if you wanted to have a business, I'm on you and I'll help you and I'm enthusiastic. And if you don't want a business, I'll tell you that you can have a business with the passion and the hobby that you have, right? And then I discovered that, well, not everybody is the same, right? Not everybody wants a small business. And the one other thing, as you said about knowing yourself and really knowing that not everybody is going to like you, right? I actually launched my email list this morning. I decided I'm going to cut it down, and I've had 3 people unsubscribe, and people don't love me.
I know, it's heartbreaking. It's like, oh my God, why would they unsubscribe? What did I say?
Yeah, no, they don't love me anymore. But they haven't heard from me for a while. Okay, but that's the whole thing, is that we want people to like us, and we have to decide that really it doesn't. And also because they have to like us, so we need to help them, right? It doesn't matter what happens. And at one point, I decided that is it. This is what I'm doing, and you're coming into my program, and this is what we're going to do. And if we don't fit, that's also okay, because you can't please everybody. And that's when I decided, well, you know what? This is me. I talk a lot. I'm very enthusiastic. I always want to help, but it doesn't always work out, But you just have to be, if you're passionate about what you're doing, that shines through, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's, I mean, that's so important because I know how I know what you're talking about when it comes to the email list. I jumped on and did a quick live yesterday or the day before about, your email list and what does it look like and performing hygiene on your email list. And I sat there and thought, oh my God, what's going to happen to my list when people start to unsubscribe? Because I don't have this major list. And then I thought, you know what?
It doesn't matter.
That's okay. Because it's so much better to be heard, right? And to actually provide value to somebody and be of value to somebody because what your message resonates with them. So what I've realized is it's not that people like us or don't like us. It's just that our message resonates with people in different ways at different stages in their lives, at different stages in their business.
Yeah.
And that's what you want to do. You want to make sure that you've got people that resonate with who you are.
Yes.
So that they're open to working with you, they're open to growing with you and to allowing you into their lives, onto their screens, onto their, I'm looking for my phone, I don't even know where it is, onto their phone. But it's that whole thing about being yourself. And I know that when I started the Marketing Your Passions, for those of you that are joining us live, let us know that you're here. Leave us a comment. Feel free to ask us any questions because we really are an open book. I mean, again, hopefully our message resonates with you. And if it doesn't, that's okay. It's totally fine. But, when I started out the Marketing Your Passions Facebook group, I started off with a name and I laugh about it because I really don't even know what the name was when I started it. Like, I don't even remember what it was. And then I decided, it's about marketing your passions because I want to work with individuals who are passionate about their business, who are passionate about growing, their followings and growing and learning more and doing things like that. And I didn't want to work with people who just saw it as a chore.
Yes.
And that was so, and I lost some people and I gained some people.
Yes.
And I was okay with that. And I think a lot of times that those gurus out there, when we hear so many different things about being authentically you, and yet, and I know, I know you're like me, you've invested in yourself, you've invested in your education. I would say between the both of us, we've probably taken all the courses available that there are out there, right?
I'm still wanting to press that button.
Me too. I'm in a session right now where I'm going through the 5 days little trial, and I was like, oh, I think I want to buy this program. And I'm like, no, you can't, And it's so interesting because even on this trial, it's like, be yourself because your message is going to resonate with certain people, and it's not going to resonate with other people, and that's okay. And I think that a lot of times with the gurus and the gurus I'm talking about are, let's face it, Veronica, you are a guru in your field. Exactly. And when I'm talking about these gurus, like I'm talking about the people that you and I aspire to be,
Yes, exactly.
Those people. And they'll sit there and say, what is your voice? What is your vision? Yes. And do that, project that. But then all of a sudden we get this conflicting information.
Yes.
That it's like, oh, no, you don't want to do that because you might turn some of your audience off.
Yes.
Right? Have you taken those courses that tell you that? They give you this conflict?
Yes. Yes.
I mean, but how does that make you feel?
Well, I just think there's so many people. So when you're looking at, we've been in a group together and there's so many people doing the same thing, right? They do marketing, they do this, but everybody can only handle so much.
Right.
Right? You can't be everything to everybody. And I was in one of those courses where I clicked the button, right? Then I had to go to Louisiana to go and attend for 2 days, which was absolutely marvelous. I met Mari there, actually, by the way.
Oh, nice.
And but the one guy was a coach. He did Adobe Photoshop, and he had 15 guys that taught with him. And he said, he had a customer who hated his class, hated it, wanted his money back. And he said to him, well, why don't you come to my class and then see if you still like it and maybe we can work the problem out. And he loved it. And, there is the thing. People will work with us or not work with us.
Right.
So either they like your product, which means they like your voice, they like your tone, they like the way you present stuff. And I mean, talking from an e-commerce perspective, is again, they have to like you to buy from you, right? And this is what most people that are selling physical products in an e-commerce situation don't remember, or
Right.
don't actually know, because we're not Amazon, we're not Walmart, and I can't mention the other one, but we just Zappos, we just not those guys. We are the little guys. So people will buy from us because they like our story, they like the way we present the company, right? And hopefully they like our products, right? So, and that's what you got to remember. So when I came to America, right, I won't say how many years ago, but I came to America, and the first thing I said to my husband is, "Oh, there's 350 million people here." It's like, oh Lord, there's so many people to sell. What can I sell? So, and the people here in America are very fortunate that there's such a huge audience, because if you think that every state in America is like a country,
Yes.
right?
Yes. Yes.
And we can sell to 50, 49, 52, 55 of them, right? So that makes me think, right?
And it's so vastly different too from, I mean, especially for service-based industry, because that's a big thing. You have to know at least how to communicate and resonate. And so, for example, people on the West Coast communicate and messages resonate with them differently than perhaps in the Midwest, than perhaps the East Coast, then, even then taking it across the pond when you go international. The messages, they have to relate to what you have. I know that I have a couple of friends that when they speak and they use certain idioms, I have no idea what they're talking about. I mean, or they'll make a comment or they'll say something and I'll be like, are you mad? Was that a joke? Because the sense of humor changes.
Yeah.
And so think about presenting to an audience that doesn't get your sense of humor. That's just no fun.
Yes.
Right. I mean, that is one long presentation.
Yes, exactly.
But if you're presenting to an audience that understands your sense of humor and speaks the same language in terms of their mannerisms and things like that, and everyone's having a good time, time flies. It's kind of like when you and I go on these broadcasts, before you know, it's like, what? How much time has gone by? Right. Because we understand each other. We have a good time with each other. And I think that's really what it means when it comes to becoming authentically you and making sure that comes across in your messaging.
Yes.
And letting people know, because you want to work with people that enjoy you, that trust you.
Yes.
And they can't trust you if they don't understand you.
Yes.
And they want to know that their values, that your values are aligned with their values.
Yes.
That's such a huge thing. And that whatever product or service that you're offering solves their problem so that you then have their best interest at heart.
Yes. And I find that so both of us are in the service industry as well, because I find that my clients you become friends with them, right? Because they stick around, they need your help. And even the ones that go away sometimes sort of circle back, but you still have the best interest at heart. So you cheer them on from the sidelines, right?
Absolutely. We want everyone to succeed. I mean, a rising tide raises all ships. So those of you that are just joining us, we're talking about being authentically you in your business, in your marketing, and really what does that mean? And how does that come across so that you can use yourself? I mean, you are your biggest asset, and use yourself to promote your business in a manner that helps you grow, as well as in a manner that helps you attract like people, because it's so much more fun to work with people that we like and that like us.
And then also it makes it easier because, having your business and growing your business takes a lot of effort, right? It's like the ups and the downs and the ups again and the downs again. Sometimes the downs you go, oh my Lord, do I have to get up and do what? And
Amen.
yes. So you really don't have time to be somebody else that somebody says you might have to be. It's like having your little spiel to tell people what you do. You have to be comfortable with telling them what you do, because if you have this little saying that you have to practice 10 times a day to be able to say it, it's not going to work, right?
Okay, so can we talk about that for a minute?
Yes.
Because
yes,
that's the 30-second elevator speech.
yes, yes.
Now, I know that you have, because I know that I have worked with clients that tell us what they do in 30 seconds or less, and they kind of go into this pitch. Yes. It's like you see this transformation in their head where you're like, hey, Jackie, tell me what you do. And that person sits there, and 1 minute they're all smiling, and all of a sudden they just kind of go, well, this is what I do. And they become like this monotone.
Yes.
Right? I mean, you know what I'm talking about. It is literally that 30-second spiel that you're like, yeah, that's nice. I still don't know what you do.
Yes. Yes.
So what do you do? And I know that I've worked with a sales coach to work on refining my message, because I was that person. I was, hey, my name is Claudia, and I help with my clients gain leads using Facebook ads, da 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 da. Yes. And then it came down to, a lot of people was like, well, how do you do that? And I still don't really do. And it took me one day that I was sitting across from the table at my parents' house, and a longtime family friend who is in the Marketing Your Passions group said, Claudia, I love watching you talk. I love listening. You have all this information. I still really don't know what you do. And I was like,
yes.
Wow.
Yes, exactly.
And so in changing, this is what I do. I mean, I help entrepreneurs automate their marketing. I teach them how to use Facebook to generate leads, and then through email marketing, how to nurture them so they become clients. Like, that is so much easier for me to say, because it's so much more natural than saying, my name is Claudia, and I teach entrepreneurs how to find their voice in social media through Facebook advertising, blah, 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 blah. It's just like, wah, 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 wah.
Yeah, exactly.
So when you work with your clients, how do you help them craft their messages on what it is that they do? Because I know I'm working with my clients on that.
But it's a little bit different to somebody having a message that is service-based, right? They need to tell, it's very easy to say, hey, I sell puzzles, personalized puzzles that you have to upload to my website, and I'll send it to you. I create happiness, right? But on a product-based e-commerce situation, you have to have a shorter version of, it's that line under the logo more than anything else, right? It's the logo. And then just more about your story and why you got into the business, and why you're an expert selling the stuff that you're selling, and why are you passionate about it. So, it's that I want to teach them to say, to have that 10-minute or 10-second elevator speech, but it doesn't always work. It's like their minds are not there.
No, they're not, because their whole why, I think a lot of times we think of our whys as, well, because I need to make money.
Yes, exactly.
Or a lot of times, and I imagine, especially with product-based, because I know it happens the same with service-based, but product-based, I have a hobby, and I have so many in my house that maybe I want to sell them.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Service-based, I help so many companies or other people, so now I want to make some money doing this.
Yes.
And we almost tend to, because we lose ourselves and we go into this position of business, we get into this business mode, we lose who we are, which is that passionate individual who enjoyed our hobby or enjoyed helping people. And we forget to share that passion with people.
I also think that you're saying when somebody goes into their elevator speaks, they go monotone. There's no, I have to remember what I say and all the big words. But tell a story.
Yes.
Because I used to do a lot of networking, and then I gave it up because I'm on my boat and I like staying on my boat. But
yes, for those of you that don't know, Veronica lives on a boat.
But you know what I remember when somebody introduces themselves, I remember the story. If they tell me the story about their business, every time I meet them, I will say, you did blah 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 with your business, and I remember that you started and you started it because of this, and you're passionate about this. I don't remember the elevator speech at all. And I don't remember their names, by the way.
I am so okay. So I admit, anybody who's watching us, first of all, thank you for joining us. Second of all, I'm bad with names as well. I almost want to go to the meat of it before I want to know if I even want to remember your name. And I know that sounds very selfish.
Yeah, I know.
But to me, your name is noise.
Yes.
But your story, it's such a good point. Your story is really what brings it home. I mean, that's where, there's a heart-to-heart connection.
Exactly.
Of what is it that you're doing, which is so much more powerful than this is my name and I do this. I know when I coach my clients to do their videos, I tell them, no one cares. No one cares who you are. No one cares your name. It doesn't even matter to them.
No.
What they care about is, how are you going to help them?
Yes.
Right? How can your experience translate to something that they're going through that you can now guide them through? And at that point, they care.
Yeah, exactly. Right? Exactly. And the same thing in e-commerce, the same thing. If they like your story, if you're selling rugby shirts and they always see you in a 3-piece suit, they're going to say, well, this guy's not my guy, right? So, you will buy stuff from people that resonate with you, because even if you're looking at the larger company, I like the stories. I like the stories about the company, and that's why I buy from them. Obviously, not from Amazon.
Amazon has some pretty good stories. Have you read the Be Like Amazon, the Lemonade book?
No. I don't.
I'll have to message it to you, and I'll put it in the comments later on, because I forgot the title of it, but it's the Be Like Amazon, and it talks about the pillars and how it's a small book and how people should be more like Amazon, only from their pillar perspective.
Yes.
And everything else is a whole other thing. But but like, if you have like companies, we follow stories all the time. Think about Coca-Cola.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Coca-Cola, when I think of Coca-Cola, I think of a polar bear.
Yes.
Right? Especially at Christmas time. I mean, it's iconic. You can see it. There's a familiarity with it. The polar bear is there with his kids. It's opening up the little soda can. Like, in everything that it does.
Story.
There's a story that this polar bear follows, right? Yes. Growing up, when we used to watch television, for those of you youngins that are joining us, you may not be familiar. Let me tell you, you missed out at a time with some really great cartoons. Growing up, I remember that they would have these educational commercials that they were stories of how a law, how a bill became a law and how it was passed, and how money was made and things like that. And it was these little cartoons found, and it would kind of take us to this little 30-second story of how something went to become what it is.
Yeah.
And I remember those. I mean, here we are years later, and I remember those. And so stories are so powerful. There's a reason that it'll capture our attention for a given amount of time.
Exactly. That's why we have to be more personal in our business, I think. That's how we're going to stand out to somebody else that is saying these 3 lines, that they have in the formula, right? And I try to do that in my workshops. It doesn't work, so I'm throwing that part out.
Well, and I think that's a good thing, because I think we follow this premise of what we should be saying and what we should be doing. And the reality is be you, Be true, be you, and do you. And like I look at people who curse a lot, and I know that I'm not a big fan of a bunch of cursing. It doesn't resonate with me.
Yes.
Now, with that said, there are very popular individuals who curse a lot and who have a large following, and so it clearly speaks to that population.
That's what I'm talking about. Yes, exactly.
Yeah, and that's totally fine. I mean, again, I'm not saying go curse. I'm not saying that. But if you embrace who you are, I'm the type of person that, I'll tell you how it is. I don't hold anything back, especially if you ask me a question. I am the person who likes order and structure in so much so that because it gives you freedom. So I love that part of it. I recently, got into it on talking about being authentically you. I was involved with a group for almost 5 years. And, for 4 years, who I was just fine. And the new president coming in decided this year that, you know what, that Claudia just isn't good enough. And right? I know, I felt the same way. And so, I was kind of blindsided because it was brought to my attention that whatever I was doing, which is pretty much looking at my phone at the back of a room, was disruptive. And I was thinking, no, disruptive would have been if I was on the phone in the back of the room, right? And that would have been disruptive. But this particular group president decided it wasn't her cup of tea. And so, I sat there and was like, well, show me in the bylaws where it says I can't do this. Show it to me. Because that's who I am. I'm going to question you. If I know that I'm not doing anything wrong, I'm going to question you. And, we kind of went at it for a little while, and I call it, I fought the good fight. I mean, I put in my complaints, I fought in the fight, and sometimes you lose.
Yes.
And that's okay. In this instance, I lost. You know what? I mean, dust yourself off, moving on, right?
Yes.
But if I would have sat there and just taken it, I wouldn't be who I am. Exactly. And a lot of people, it's actually because my friends that are in the group are like, Claudia, maybe you should have done this or maybe that. And I'm thinking, you know what? At my age, I'm who I am. Love me or leave me.
Yeah.
And that's okay. And clearly the clients that I have in the group have all decided to stay with me.
Yeah.
So I must be doing something right. Right? Which means I connected with the people that speak my language.
Yeah. Exactly.
That accept me for who I am, for what I do, and for the value I bring to them. And the ones that don't feel that way, unfortunately, were in power this year. And so they basically said, you're out.
Yeah.
And that's okay. It's all good. Whatever. I'll go find another group. I'll move on. I'll start my own. Yeah. It's totally okay. But it was a lesson in being authentically me on who I am and embracing who I am and knowing that if people don't like me, that's okay too. I mean, I hope that they do.
Mm-hmm.
But if nothing else, respect the fact that we are always true to who we are and show that with your marketing. I'm not saying go pick fights. I'm not saying that. But embrace who you are. I mean, if you have views, if you have opinions, don't start crap for the sake of starting crap.
Yes.
If you're marketing, know the person that you want to project, the side of you that you want your audience to see, and embrace that side, because the ones that love you are really going to embrace you.
Yes.
And they're going to love you for it.
Yes.
And they'll stick with you.
So, just remind us, there's a saying, surround yourself with people that you can learn from, but that you want to aspire to, that you can learn from, that will bring you success. That's probably what happened. Now, you surround with people that are going to bring you success. But
exactly.
Coming back to e-commerce, I'm thinking about Donna and a customer situation where he could not please his customers. So, in the service industry is a little bit of a different situation where when you're selling something to somebody, they're not immediately your friend. They might like you and they might like your story, but they're spending money and then they get very demanding, so they're not your friend, right? So you do have your bad customers as well that really, really, really don't love you.
Yes, they don't.
So you go, so it's actually a big part of e-commerce that a lot of people can't deal with is the customers that they have to deal with on a daily basis of being nice to them and being friendly and being yourself, right? Maybe not so much, but that is really one of the stumbling blocks about e-commerce. Whereas we can literally choose our customers, and the other ones we can say, excuse me, but go away.
Right. I mean, I may have another person that you're better suited for. And that's an interesting point, because when it comes to e-commerce, you've got this product, right? Something physical,
yes,
that is going out, and they can interact with it and they have their opinions about it. And typically they may only be dealing or connecting with the person when there's an issue.
Yes.
Or when they need a feature request of some sort.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And I can see that, because nobody wants to deal with issues all the time. And nobody wants to be told that there's a flaw.
No.
Nobody wants that. So I can understand where it's like,
yeah.
So I work with quite a few people in the wine industry. Ooh. And it's a lot of fun. And it's so interesting because, you've got the winemaker who believes their wine is the best, yes, and that everybody should love it.
Yes.
And doesn't understand why it's not in every single restaurant, because it is better than sliced bread.
Yes.
And then you've got the winemaker who says, you know what? I have limited production and I have a client base and I sell out, which one of my good friends, he sells out of his wine before he even announced it. Like, it's sold before he even started making it.
Wow.
Because he has this cult following, yes, of people that just buy everything he makes because they know that it's going to be consistent. He has a community presence. They know that their values are all aligned and there's just a lot of support there, and then they have the other ones that are just like, oh, woe is me.
Yes, exactly.
And it's so interesting because out of those three, I never want to be the, oh, woe is me. Like, that part of the Authentically You should not come out because nobody wants to work with somebody who's always in a place of pity, yes, right? Or a place of longing. So, and then there's the other spectrum where we want to be everyone's cup of tea and we don't understand why we're not in every single restaurant, but we know we can't please everybody. No. So we're looking for, like, my friend Steve's wine. Yes. It's Pulcella, and they're amazingly delicious out of Santa Clarita. But Steve's people, his customers love the wine. They love Steve. They love everything that the winery represents. And that's who he continues to make for the people who love him.
Exactly. That's it. They love him, right? Because yes, he's also there's a lot of good wine on the market, right? There's a lot of competition for him, but he sells the wine, right? He himself sells the wine because people really like it. It's like walking into a bar, not a bar story, but walking into a restaurant and the person that owns the restaurant. You will go there on a regular basis because the person that you're walking up to is friendly. I see one of my boutique ladies, she's got a toddler and kids' clothes, toddlers and babies and tweens. I'm learning all this stuff about kids' clothes. Girls' clothes, not boys' clothes. But people come and want to talk to her in her retail shop because they are interacting. But what she's also doing is saying, hey, look at this. Isn't this marvelous? And you can put that on your heap as well, right? But it's that interconnection with that person that people really are coming back for, right?
Absolutely.
Same thing with Steve. And that's where we have to really, that's really marketing yourself and being authentically yourself, because it makes it so much easier, right? You cannot be like somebody else, I'm going through one of the courses that I push the button, but I'm enjoying it because it'll teach me all about being online. I see people trying to emulate the person that's giving the course she is just amazing at what she does. She's a performer. You know who I'm talking to, right?
I know exactly who you're talking about. And she is amazing.
It's amazing, right? And then some people are doing the same thing, and I go, oh, that doesn't work. That really, really doesn't work, you know. So because they're not being themselves,
Right.
they should rather be themselves. I had a discussion with my customers about being live, so that you can connect to your customers, right? And there's a little bit of resistance from some people, and I won't mention names, Donna, because but because sometimes it's hard to come online, right? And she doesn't want to come online. But I've seen somebody who is totally natural. I mean, I don't think she even combs her hair. I mean, yours is artistically done, right? But she literally...
You see me when I don't comb my hair. And I've gone live without combing my hair.
So, and to no makeup, just sitting at her little desk, no lighting, selling her stuff. And she's got a huge following of just chatting to people, right? Selling her products, chatting to people. And there's such an opportunity that sometimes, you know, you've got to help people to get there, you know, but they have to become comfortable with themselves to be online, and which is not easy.
Well, and that's a huge thing, because let's talk about that for a minute. You bring up an excellent point on the best way to show who you are is literally to go on live and do these lives.
Yeah.
Right? Because they're not scripted. Well, at least we're not scripted. So they're not scripted for the most part, right? We have a basic agenda that we go through. And for those of you joining us, I basically told Veronica, our agenda is who, what, when, where, why, and how. And that's it. That's our agenda. But, you know, people get to know who you are, and it's candid, it's true, and it's not about putting on appearances. And make no mistake, I'm sure that you have, I know that I have done professional videos where it's, you haven't yet, I've done them. And it's so interesting because they're not my favorite, because I always forget what I'm going to say.
Yes.
Because it's so scripted. And I'm just like, can you just turn on the camera and let me talk?
Yes.
Because it's so much more natural and so much more of who I am. And so with my clients as well, I tell them, you know, people don't... I have an awesome real estate client. She's amazing. In the beginning, I was like, you need to get on lives, because people want to see who you are. Because real estate there's so much competition in real estate. Everybody's a real estate agent.
Yes.
You know, or they know a real estate agent.
Yes. Yes.
You know, so what is the differentiating factor? Because the houses are all the same that are being sold and everyone has access to and purchased.
Yes.
So what is that?
Friend.
What's that?
And everybody has a friend who's a real estate agent.
Yes, everybody has a friend who has a real estate agent, and everybody has a friend who I don't want you to use, but you can use the guy that I used. You know, everyone has opinions on it. And so then how do you stand out? And in working with her, it was like, let's get on video. And I was so, so happy when she messaged me and she's like, I get it. I get it now. I understand. It's so much easier to go on live. I'm not afraid of it anymore, because it was this huge production. And, you know, people are responding to her live because she's an amazing person. And who wouldn't want to entrust a major buying decision like where you're going to move your family to with an authentic, genuine person who actually, you know, gives two poops about you, you know?
Exactly.
Because we don't. It's so much better than... I mean, I appreciate... I'm looking to see if I have one on my desk or not, and I don't. But I mean, I appreciate the notepads that are left on my front door from the real estate agents. Yes. You know, thank you. I appreciate my scratch pads. Yes. But the reality is, I'm probably not ever going to call you. No. So real estate agents that are listening right now, you're wasting your money doing that. You could be putting your money somewhere else, although we appreciate it. Yes. The reality of us calling you is minor. Now, minor. If I see you interacting online and I see your live videos and I see who you are, and now I get a scratch pad, I'm like, oh, wait, that's that person, and it resonates, and now it's a different touch point. Yes. Now the probability of me calling you, much better. You know?
So one of the the things talking about a client going online is I try and persuade my little people to do a little video to be on the thank you page when somebody's bought something. I mean, that would be amazing. Nobody's doing it, right? Nobody's doing it. But you say, thank you so much for buying whatever from me, right? And it doesn't have to be scripted. It doesn't have to be in a studio or anything. But talking about studios, I did do a studio thing. I remember I had to do something. I was practicing, this lady said to me, oh, she'll help me go on camera. It's before Facebook Lives, by the way. And my tone went just flat. Boom. There was no intonation. There was nothing. And my face went flat. And it was terrible.
Did you find yourself like, I'm always smiling? And I get that all the time. Like, how come you're always smiling? You know, it's just a natural state. I've been doing it since I was little. I don't even think about it. My natural relaxing state is me smiling. But when I have to pose, my smile changes.
Yes.
Right? And so it's like this, you know, you're doing this scripted and you're kind of there and you're like, hi, I'm Claudia Sheridan. And it is just, right?
Yes, I know, right? And I forgot everything I wanted to say.
Right. Yeah. And you're like, and I don't want to smile too big because I know that when I smile big, my cheeks cover my eyes and my eyes, all of a sudden you can't see them. And I know this about me. And I know that I get these dimples right here and all this stuff. And I don't want any of that to happen when it's if I'm paying for a video, exactly. I want you to see my eyes and a smile.
Yes.
It just looks like a clown.
You're not yourself, right? You're not your authentic self. That's the whole point, is if you can come on and actors are fantastic doing it if they're good actors, right? And you know who's overacting and who is not, right?
Yes.
You always know that. So I mean, obviously they practice a lot. And coming on a live thing, I have to practice a little bit. I did some videos, and they were for a course, right? I did 30 takes, 30 takes before I made one.
It happens. When I did my why video, so on my Facebook page, I have my why I do. And the video is 48 seconds. The final cut is 48 seconds. It took me like 4 hours because I found myself like wanting to get it right. I wanted my eyes open. I wanted all this. And I kept crying because my why makes me cry.
Yes.
So I kept crying. And so I had to go touch up my makeup again. It was so stressful.
Yeah. That's why, if you practice and you just do it, and you might have to do a couple, because again, with in the e-commerce on the shopping platform, you have to have at least one video that you can upload, right? But just natural, just be yourself, right? And you connect, because then you connect with your customer because they see you and not somebody that's selling something. So I did a video of skincare, right? So my client who sells skincare, beautiful stuff. She's Parisian Pure Indulgence, Parisian's Pure. And so I said to her, I'll do a little video as a testimonial, right? And I had my granddaughter in the video. It was wonderful. She had another customer do a video, and this customer was perfect. Pitch. Whatever she was saying, and she was in her kitchen showing the product. I mean, beautiful, I had my granddaughter going tap, 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 tap on the basin, and there was noise and stuff. And I said to her, that's a really good selling video, but it doesn't sound like she's giving a testimonial because it's not natural, right?
Right.
So, yeah, that's the difference, right? That is the difference. And it tend to be that she actually does videos for products.
Okay, so she already knew in her mind, she already had a script that she plays out. That comes out very natural for her, but it sounds scripted. I feel you. Well, I know that we've got about 10 minutes left in this hour, so I kind of want to wrap it up and thank everybody who has been joining us and who's chimed in, who's going to be watching this on the repeat. And you're on with Veronica Jeans, e-commerce expert, and myself, Claudia Sheridan, digital marketer strategist. And you can always find us in the Facebook group called Marketing Your Passions. you can join it. It's a direct link, marketingyourpassions.com will take you straight to that group where we talk about stuff like this because, having your business and being an entrepreneur and getting started, Veronica mentioned it early in the broadcast. There's these roller coasters that occur and this process that we go through, and we try to do everything right. We're trying to absorb all this information and we're trying to execute. We're just trying to do everything. And somewhere along the way, we may lose ourselves. Yes. And yet we don't want to lose ourselves. We want to make sure that our authentic who you really are comes through with your business and your marketing and everything that you do so that you can attract clients that are like you. So we're talking about being authentically you. So Veronica, if you had some final words of wisdom for anybody who's joining us, what would be your final words of wisdom on being authentically you when it comes to business and branding and marketing and just, business, everything?
I think you need to remember where you started and why you started. Because I think we lose sight why we started and what the passion was in the difficult times are, And we always have to, somebody said to me, you always look back and see what you've achieved, see where you've come from and what you've achieved. Even those few sales, you're doing better than a year ago, right? Even though you're not a millionaire yet. But that's the whole point, is always remembering where you're coming from. And what
I think that's so important, because we try as we start to grow our businesses, we try to talk to people at the same level. And what I mean by the same level, it's not an intelligence level or anything like that. It's people at the same point in the journey with us. But when we're selling something, especially for myself, I know for Veronica as well, the services that we sell is to people that are starting off in their journey. So It's like where we were when we started, and we tend to forget about that. Veronica and I can go on conversations about where we are with our business right now. And because we're aligned, it's like, oh, I know exactly what you're going through. And we go on. And if we had our clients, like in the peanut gallery listening,
yes,
they probably wouldn't even know what we were talking about.
Yes.
Right. And so I think that's so important to remember why you started, and always humble yourself in that place, because that's where you're going to attract, and know that when you started, you weren't perfect. And so if you're not perfect now, that's okay.
Yes.
It's totally okay. And if you're, just truly embrace yourself and be you, and know it may not resonate with everybody, and know that that's okay. Veronica, you are amazing. I know that you're starting your email newsletter, and you know what? Don't worry about those non-subscribers or those unsubscribes. Wish them well. I did a keynote in Myrtle Beach, and it was so funny because I was laughing. I don't know if anyone else found it funny, but in my email it said, you're going to be receiving other emails from me, and if you don't want them, that's okay. Just unsubscribe, and we will always have Myrtle Beach. So we can always have that memory with that. So embrace yourself, be authentically you. Look to join us in the Marketing Your Passions Facebook group. It's free to join for entrepreneurs. And we go over things like this. And I look forward to coming on live with you again, Veronica Jeans, here soon. I think we're ironing out our topics right before this session. So follow this page, follow Claudia Sheridan. Make sure you follow Veronica Jeans, and you'll know when we're online next. You guys have an amazing day. Be you, be true, be authentically you. Bye, you guys.